Hello and welcome back to Better Than Adventure. We're running dangerously low on basalt. But let's continue. I realized I didn't do this section, so we're back here. Do you know who else for... Yeah, whatever. Yeah, welcome back. The other day I had an epiphany. And it was... I should probably, I don't even know. It's one of those things where there is some stuff that I kind of, in a vacuum, would want to make. But there are some videos when, if you make them, your channel kind of begins to revolve around them, right? Like specific fandoms. Like, when it's kind of like one of those things where I play a lot of games. So when I made the KSP video, now I have people who are just here for the KSP stuff. When I make these videos, now people want more of them. And the issue is, at some point, I run out of ideas. And, the time for me to recharge those ideas with something original, it takes time. You know, I could always borrow ideas from other YouTubers, because I think that's, for a game like KSP, not that egregious, considering there's kind of a limited amount of things you can do. But you can clearly see when something is, even like because when you, in a KSP video, right? If somebody else makes something unusual, like a submarine, and you make a submarine, even if the idea is the same, the execution is often really different. But of course, the issue is, I don't feel like making a sub, maybe for Lathe, because at the time of filming, that's where the missions are still happening. But I don't know, man. I don't know what I want to do with Lathe. Because the issue of submarines is that there's not that much to see there. But maybe I'll consider it. The thing is, though, it's just one of those things where I'll need to try out how ballasts work again. I'll have to figure out a system. I'll try to make it more complex with action groups, but yeah. Or, like, I made 2 episodes of Vaults, mostly just to show off to one of my friends, because me and her were trying to figure out this sort of stuff because it was interesting to me and surface level interesting to her. So I won at the end because she gave up. But the idea was, I made those 2 Vaults videos as one-offs, and then people who like Vaults clicked on it, and now I'm like, oh my god, wait a minute, oh my god. And so, well, that's sort of a light stuff, but if I made a video talking about anything more serious, then people who like that sort of stuff would click there. That's why I would never want to, like, while I do sometimes, like, reference, like, drama-related stuff, I never want to actually talk about it or, like, really involve myself. God, no. Because it'll kind of... Drama's like, have you ever played RimWorld? There's a drug in RimWorld called Luciferium. It's basically the idea behind, like, a deal with the devil, where it will significantly enhance your character's abilities, but if you then stop taking it for too long, it gets worse and then you die. Now, in a similar way, drama YouTube will basically ruin your channel by the end, because if you pivot from doing something else to drama, you will kind of have, like, some of the people who watch you will also watch you for the drama stuff. So you can make that pivot, but doing the pivot from drama to anything else is gonna make you lose, a lot of followers. So a lot of the time when people start doing drama content, they'll have to continue doing it even if they don't like it. And it's just kind of a toll on them, because they just are stuck doing something they're unhappy with, and moving away from that would basically mean starting from ground zero. it's kind of like one of those things where I personally stopped caring at all about any real kind of internet drama, except like for whenever there was like some actual serious stuff, and like many years ago at this point. And it's just kind of one of those things where sometimes I look back and see what kind of stuff is happening, and it's like, well, I'm really happy that I don't care about internet drama right now. Because sometimes it's just kind of stupider and stupider and stupider and stupider, you know? But still, in general, I'm just not a very big fan of that sort of stuff. So I never cared for it, but like, I was thinking about it, because like, it's one of those things where, in some respects, it is interesting. But it's interesting in a way where I would never want to be involved. Because I've seen how, like, people can really get into it, and like, you know, then there's this sort of, you know, issue where some people take it really seriously, others don't take it seriously, so, you know, you don't know what to fucking do. I like how they made it so you can check if these are full or empty. Like, you can see full ones have something, hey, empty ones don't. But yeah, there's nothing worthwhile here. We'll have to go back and mine more, basalt. Actually, we should go to the main base first and see if there's any there. But yeah, like, I don't like drama for the simple reason that, very often it's about talking what somebody else did wrong, but it's never about, like, you know, it's just drama. You know what I mean? I'm interested in hearing if somebody who I like is somebody that I shouldn't be liking, right? I'm not interested if somebody who I like retweeted, like, furry artwork on Blue Sky, right? I don't care. Please wake me up if there's something that I should actually care about. And, you know, it kind of also depends, because some people really care about what I just mentioned, even though it's, well, like, you shouldn't. But some people really care. So, yeah, you run into that issue. But, you know, it's kind of like that issue again, where, well, I don't care, and nothing you try to do will make me care. And if somebody who, you know, and if somebody who previously did drama then pivoted away, it's also an issue where people will just watch them and they'll be like, oh wait, so previously you cared a lot about, you know, XYZ, but now you just want to ignore it and focus on, like, gaming? What are you, fake? And then, you know, they'll just kind of be in this loop where people will make drama content about them, and they'll start losing subs, and the only way to stop losing subs is to, you know, start making videos about drama, and it's just this ugly loop that I would personally just never want to be involved with. And, yeah. What?! If I lose my inventory, I'm switching to creative mode. I'm going back through the video, and I am fucking giving myself the stuff back. What the fuck? Why? I made that hollow so I could fall through. I'll also sleep up there this time, just in... Actually, no, fuck it. I'll just run in again. What kind of bullshit is this? Okay, this time let's take the fucking... Let's take the fucking ladder down. Oh, I think it's because of this. Huh. Maybe they broke something in the collision code? I don't know. Well... Hey. It's not quite bug rock, but... it is a bug. And there are a lot of rocks here, so... I'd say it counts. Okay, anyways, is there any... Nope, oh, I have to mine for it. Whatever. One thing which I do like are the slimes here. If I need sticky pistons, at least it's not hard to find them. Well, I mean, the slimes that I'll crush. Oh, yeah! They added reinforced pistons, which can not only... They added some really cool stuff. It's kind of a nice thing with mods, where they can focus a lot more on just adding stuff. The thing is, in my opinion with Minecraft, you have to sort of make mechanics, which I really like how redstone is implemented, or potion brewing in modern versions, right? It's a mechanic that can be fun, but it's not necessary, and it's, you know, like, completely optional. Now, of course, some of the mechanics are more optional than others, right? But still, like, realistically, I would love if Minecraft had a lot of this sort of side mechanics, where, you know... Like, you know, for instance, automation with pistons, where... Even if... Oh, by the way, we don't have any torches, so we'll have to head back. You know, even if you can't really automate stuff now, you know, and there's no real reason for it, if you want to do stuff at scale, what's the harm in letting the player automate? It makes the game more complex, sure, but like... Okay. If it's an optional mechanic, then it's fine. Even if it may, like, mess with the flow of the game a little bit, it's not that big of an issue. I mean, bigger things were allowed before. Oh yeah, it's kind of like one of those things where, you know, Better Than Adventure doesn't have to answer to Mojang or Microsoft or anyone, so they can do what they want. But real developers have to, like, you know, answer to an actual team and, like, corporate. But that's kind of the difference between modding and working on a real project. Speaking of modding, did you hear that some guy is trying to port... Well, quote-unquote port, but they're trying to get Half-Life 1 onto the PlayStation, and, they're gonna make it better than the PC version by eliminating those loading zones. And that kind of makes me want to, dabble in PS1 stuff myself. But then I realize, oh yeah, I only do Java, and whatever the fuck microcontrollers use, which is basically like C, right? So, I don't want to embarrass myself. Because goddamn, would that be horrible? It'd be like... It would look like a bad-looking game, and run like a terrible game. It's just one of those things, you know? Oh yeah, another thing, I'm pretty sure the PS1 can output at a maximum of 200 frames per second. At least, like, with some games where... Okay, so in some games, right, when you hit the pause option and open, like, the pause menu, right, the game will just pause rendering, and some games, well, some games do it differently. Some games will just make the output run at 0 FPS until something changes. But some games will, which have like a dynamic frame rate where it's not limited to like 30 or 60 FPS, those games will just let the game run at whatever frame rate it wants, and it will just output at like way faster than, like, you know, it'll just swap frames at way faster than the compositor can handle. Though you only see up to 60, because that's how the signal works. Only in emulators can you get above 60, I'm pretty sure, because that's how the wires work. But yeah. Though it is kind of one of the most disappointing things of the PS1 is just that I feel like a lot of the discussion just doesn't center that much about, like, the scale of the stuff it could really pull. Most PS1 discussions are more about, like, the games than they are about the console's actual power. And I feel like a part of the reason for that is because, well, its power is sort of already known to a degree. But it's also that, like, realistically speaking, with a game like, you know, sort of like with a system like the N64, most of the games in that system, they don't really take that much of an advantage, let's say, like homebrew. But on the PS1, what's been possible is already kind of somewhat been achieved. And now it's just down to homebrew developers to really combine all of the collective knowledge and put it into one package, you know? It's more that than just discovering so much potential because, yeah, the developers didn't realize just how bad the RAM was. So, though, the funniest thing that I've noticed is that the bandwidth of the RAM expansion card on the Saturn wasn't that much lower than the N64's main RAM. And the latency was a lot better. And now I have to say, I talked with people who worked on the Saturn stuff a lot more now. And now I have to say, it's kind of interesting hearing what they had to say in terms of what could have made the system better. Because it's so much more interesting than what I've seen most people see. Hey, my video, when I talked about it, I'm pretty sure I said something stupid. But, what it could have really helped the Saturn was when they were making the graphics... So basically, they were making the graphics API alongside, like, the SGL library, alongside the system. And if they were really gonna be smart about it, they would have given the second, like, the slave CPU a direct way to access the GPUs without having to go through the main bus. And they should have also probably finished the SCU DSP. I mean, it's kind of like one of those things where you can say what you think they should have done, but by doing that, you will probably delay the system. Plus, you're talking about what they could have done in a perfect world where corporate doesn't exist. And corporate wants everything to be done by yesterday with a budget of $2. So, yeah. Yeah, there's a reason why a lot of the stuff you talk about is theoretical. And I'm not blaming corporate all the time, just most of the time, because it's what is to blame. You know, it's just... It's not... Honestly, it's not as common now as it was back then. Because now gaming is kind of understood a bit better. A bit better, mind you. Not a lot better by, you know, CEOs and stuff. But it's just one of those things, man. Kind of crazy how... On this one... all of them are equal. And in this one, they're kind of not. So I could theoretically move all of these ones one to the right. But no, I'll just leave it as is. Yeah, sure, why not? So we've done this. Do we want to do those ones as well? I think it's fine to leave them like this, honestly. For now, at least. I'll see. Now I have to do the bookshelves, and, well, the best way to get down is to go in here. So what do I do now? Well, I've been horrible at furnishing since I started playing the game until now, and I still am. So, I will want to take this bed and move it somewhere nicer. That's what I'll do first. Then, I will try to make that room look a little bit nicer. Then, after I'm done with that, I'll try to make, like, a library room or something. I don't know. We have a lot of bookshelves. We may as well use them for something now. After thinking about it for a little bit, I don't know where to put the bedroom. Now, one idea I had would be to have a master bedroom over here. Because it's a really big room, but it being so close with such an open arch doorway makes me think, like, it's just, you know, too big. But I want a master bedroom, so maybe at the end of this hall is a really stupid room. Huh? Oh, I'm stupid. Okay, so we have this. Okay, so what if over here I have this sort of archway that will then, yeah, that'll then turn into like a proper room. Because here's the thing, both of these stop here. Right? Yeah. Oh, that one's actually off by one. So we'll have to move this one by one. That's actually good for this room, for that room, I think. But, yeah. And then this will just be, like, one huge bedroom? Though maybe... I'll keep this as, like, a bathroom of some kind. Or, like, a shower. But, for now, I'll do this. I'll definitely destroy these ones. And this will be, like, the big ol' master bedroom. So, before we continue, this is the center of the room, correct? Fuck. But correct. So, bed goes here. And now I have to destroy a block, which is removed very slowly. Hooray me. Yeah. Is that? No, that's just, yeah. I know, I'm using high gamma, but the thing is, even if I would be fine with my 2 eyes, not confirmed as 2, could be more, you know, even if I can see the screen, a word of warning, YouTube can sometimes, make the stuff look... Wait, why am I doing it this way? No. I'll just put it... Oh, yeah, because I wanted to move the wall of this one up here by one. Right, yeah. So we'll do that. So then I'll actually move this by one more. There's so much stuff I could talk about, but not a lot of it that I want to talk about. You know, one of the things that I was kind of thinking about is one of the things which I would have always loved to have is, I don't know, it's one of those things. Sometimes I think about what would I actually like to have, and then I think about how little that kind of matters sometimes. But so I was thinking about, and I think I mentioned this before in some other videos, but Minecraft is the game for these kinds of random discussion thoughts because it's Minecraft. The idea is, right, sometimes... Yeah, so sometimes you just kind of, wonder, right? So, if I was born, 10 years, yeah, maybe not 10 years. If I was the same age I am now, 20 years ago, right? Like, if I was 20, like, yeah, 20 years ago, if I was the age I was now, would I still be interested in the same stuff I'm interested in today? Because if you look at it from one side of things, like, I'd probably still like video games, but would I like the same kinds of games, you know? Because the idea was, I thought about it like, man, if I was, with the knowledge I had, like, a thing, you know, existing 20 years ago, with, you know, my current level of understanding, I could have done Let's Plays way before they were cool. But if I was back then, who knows what I would have actually liked? Because that's how it works, you know? And realistically, because I can't really, you know, confirm that, fucking who knows? As much as I would like to say, yeah, I would like the same things I like now, I don't know, genuinely, like, seriously, who the fuck knows? But what I do have to say is that overall, I believe that, man, I would have done a good job, because I would have, in that hypothetical scenario that I can't prove, I would have been very competent. Did I bust down the one wall that I said I would keep for the bathroom? Yes, I did. Now, why do you want a big window in your bathroom? I don't know. Because it's high up and nobody will see you. Just close the curtains. Oh, yeah, right. How do I do the 1, 2? And the window. But yeah, like, realistically speaking, I don't know. I would have loved to do this back then. But I don't know if, you know, it's kind of like also, I'm not really, sure because the influences, you know, the people who influenced me to make YouTube just wouldn't even be around really back then. You know, like, a lot of the guys who influenced me started off, like, because I'll coin this term, which I'll never use again, but the sort of first generation of Let's Players is kind of lost. Like, the guys in 06 and 07 who made the first Let's Plays of whatever their computers could run, they're basically non-existent now. Then you had some people who started doing Let's Plays in, like, you know, 08 and 09 and 010, you know, and 011, like the sort of second, third generation. And some of them are still around and really successful, like Chugga Conroy or whatever. Or, like, Zach Scott. But I'll be real with you. A lot of the pioneers are just kind of forgotten because... I don't know. The tech just wasn't really there. Nor was the interest there, really. But it kind of also is what it is in a lot of ways. I don't know how, like, the Nintendo stuff would have affected me. Because, realistically, would have I played a lot of Nintendo stuff back then? Probably, fucking... But then Nintendo's, like, creator program would have probably screwed me in, like, 2012. So, like... It's kind of like how with Zach Scott, right? Like, I'm pretty sure he was in the ambassador program. But the issue was he had to get the video, like, reviewed and stuff before uploads, and you shared money. So it was just something that a lot of creators didn't want to deal with, which is why a lot of people stopped really playing Nintendo games around that point, which is why between, like, 20... Yeah, between, like, 2013 and 2018... not a lot of Nintendo videos were really made except by, like, the core Nintendo fans, which was a part of the reason the Wii U sold so poorly. Oh god, that was also a video I was working on before I just gave up. Maybe if I just focus on doing the stuff, I would be in a better shape. But yeah, we made a room with an actual purpose. Yay. I guess. Join me next time when we make the library. Bye-bye.